One.
Hey guys, so welcome to math class, and it's Thursday, August 27th. Getting close to the end of this week. We're also getting close to the end of decimal fluency. So at this point right here, you should have pretty much covered everything that we need to cover up to this point. We're going to continue working on it throughout the year though. But we've added, subtracted, we've multiplied, and we've divided decimals. So that's the four big things that we had to hit to start the year off with. So up to this point, you all have been doing just plain numbers. You had to set them up and solve them. So today we're going to take it a step farther, or further, whichever way. Not a language arts teacher. But we're going to take it a step further and do the same operations but in word problems. So this right here is where you will actually probably be using these skills that we've taught you. It's very rare that you're actually going to be given two numbers and say, here, divide these. So you're going to have to look at a word problem and try to figure out what to do. So that's what we're kind of looking at today. So if you will, in your folder, Ms. Bridwell, you remember what page number this was?
I think it's the 11th, but I'm not sure.
So we think it's the 11th page, so if it's not that one, it should be somewhere around it. But it looks like this. At the top of it says simple decimal word problems. So you have 12 problems here, and we're going to work two of them with you.
Mr. Winstead, count those again for us.
Oh, I'm sorry, no. It's hard to count upside down. It's all right. We make mistakes too. And your teacher, Ms. Bridwell, will call you out for making a mistake, but I'm more forgiving.
Only call
It's
Mr.
okay to make a
Winstead
mistake
out.
in Mr. Winstead's class, but Ms. Bridwell's class, I'm sorry. So if you have her, I'm sorry. You will be called out.
That is false.
Nah, I'm kidding. But, so we have 9 problems, and we're going to do 1 and 3 with you. So, number 1 is on the smart board up here. So it says Miss Coleman drove 115.22 miles over a 7-day period. If she drove the same distance each day, how many miles did she drive per day? So what we like to do first is kind of pick out some important information, because that entire problem, some of the stuff's not important. So if I'm looking at this right here, I key in on 115.22 miles over a 7-day period. So what we like for you to do is underline the important information. All right, so that's important. Now what we want to know is how much does she drive each day? So that's another part of an important piece of information that we have here. So before you start the problem, you have to think, well, what do I need to do to find out how many miles she goes each day? So we know that she drove 115.22 miles over a 7-day period. So we know that we need to do something to find a smaller number, because each day she's not driving 115 miles, she's doing that over 7 days. So what we should do is take that 115.22 and divide that over a 7-day period. So that's going to tell us how many miles she drove each day. That's what we want to know. So once you have that set up, that's the hard part. Now you just do the math like we did over the last couple of weeks. So if you remember, when we divide, we don't like decimals on the outside. So right now there's no decimal on the outside, which is great. So if you remember, all we have to do is take that decimal to the top, straight up, and we're ready to solve. So use your long division like we've taught you. Will 7 go into 1? No, but it will go into 11 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract that and you get 4. Now, going just a little bit faster since we've had a lot of practice with this. So if it's too fast for you, just pause the video and slow it down a little bit. So I subtracted that, I bring down the 5, and I do it all over again. How many times will 7 go into 45? So that should be a math fact that you're familiar with, because we know that 7 times 6 is 42, and 7 times 7 is 49. So that's too much, so it has to be 6. Subtract your 42 away, you're left with 3. Bring down again. How many times does 7 go into 32? But that's another math fact that 7 times 4 is 28, and we know that's as close as we can get. Subtract that away, bring down the 2, and we've already set how many times is 7 going to 42? Well, we already have that information right here, which is another 6, and I've run out of room, but I would subtract the 42 away and get 0. So how many miles did Miss Coleman drive each day? Well, she drove 16.46 miles. So that's how you do number 1. So the big thing, guys, is to, before you start actually doing your math, take a step back and think about what you're trying to solve. So a big problem that we see is a lot of times people want to multiply, but we know that she drove 115 miles in 7 days, so if you multiply, that number's going to get bigger, which will make no sense to the problem because she didn't drive more than 115 miles each day. So just take a step back and think about that before you start. So the next one we're going to do is number 3, or the last one on the first row in that handout. So it says King Bass bought posters for a science project for $1.25 each. So I'm going to underline that because that's important. So posters for $1.25 each. So I know that means each poster that King Bass bought was $1.25. Now he bought 5 posters. So how much did he spend? So if the posters are $1.25 each and he bought 5 of them, how am I going to get my answer? So there's a couple different ways. Now to me, the most efficient way would be to multiply $1.25 times the 5 posters that he bought. Now you could also do adding. You could add up $1.25 5 times, but that's going to be a lot more work and a lot more chance of getting a number off and getting the wrong answer. So I would multiply $1.25 per poster times 5 posters will get me how much he spent. So if you watched our other video Tuesday, we know that the decimal here, I like to kick it out of the problem, make that number a whole number. So how many times do I have to move the decimal to make that a whole number? I have to move it twice. I have to move it 0 times here. So at the end of my problem, I need to have 2 numbers past my decimal. So then I just multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And I know that I need to have 2 numbers past my decimal, so I have to put it right here. So that means King Bass spent $6.25 on his posters. So on today's classwork, there are multiple problems that you have to think about. Am I multiplying? Am I dividing? Am I adding? Or am I subtracting? So before you start the problems, make sure you're thinking to yourself which one makes the most sense with the problem, and you'll be fine. So as usual, once you finish, enter your work on Google Form. If you have any questions, email us, and we will get back with you to help you in any way needed. Other than that, good luck, do your best, and have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Friday. See you guys.